promised me you'd set me free. Don't fall asleep to dream. Awake now.
As the Nightmare on Elm Street movies were becoming more and more silly, a lot of fans thought the movies were getting a lot worse. So eventually, after 6 films, New Line Cinema released Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. A lot of fans have called this the worst in the series after Freddy's Revenge, but I have to say I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. The film was like watching a Looney Tunes cartoon in live action with swearing, pot-smoking teenagers, oh yeah, and Freddy Krueger. The dream sequences have gone from being mildly jokey to being flat out funny. I had low expectations for this film after hearing so much bad stuff about it, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. Sure, it may not be the best out of the series, but it's definitely not the worst. That still goes to the second film. The film is set 10 years after the 5th film, and Freddy has killed every single child in Springwood, which is a town from the other movies. The parents and adults have been drove to insanity due to it. There's one scene where you see a woman who works at an orphanage talking to a load of imaginary kids. The movie starts off with a character called John on an airplane. He gets thrown out of the airplane and wakes up in a bedroom. Then he opens up the curtains and sees Freddy in homage to the Wizard of Oz. He starts walking, goes to the bus station to buy a ticket, and Freddy hits him with a bus. He then throws him across the border and he hits his head. He then forgets everything about himself. He's then taken to a youth centre. Him and the woman who works there decide to go to Springwood to find out about who he is. The woman's name is Maggie, and she's later revealed to be Freddy's daughter. But she doesn't know this, and we are meant to learn this later in the film. I worked it out almost instantly though. They eventually find that Tracy, Carlos and Spencer have stowed away in the van because they wanted to escape the youth centre. Maggie gives them the car and tells them to go home, but when they try to leave they end up going in circles. They decide to stop off at an abandoned house and they break in. After they go inside, the outside of the house changes, revealing that it is the Elm Street house which appears in pretty much every single film. Carlos inside falls asleep inside the house. What I haven't said about Carlos is that he has a hearing aid and Freddy rips it out. When he gives it back to him, it's magnified. He drops a bunch of nails and that hurts his ears. He then scratches a chalkboard with a glove and Carlos's head literally blows up. Tracy leaves to find Maggie and John while Spencer gets high. So he gets sucked into the TV and ends up being in a video game. And John and Tracy goes into the dream and steals Freddy's controller, but luckily he has his trusty power glove. So it's now established that Freddy is like the angry video game nerd, except he actually likes the power glove. So Spencer is killed and then John, Tracy and Maggie drive off in a van. John is sucked out and falls with a parachute. He thinks that he's Freddy's son, but he isn't, and Freddy cuts his parachute. He then puts out a bed of nails, which is even more reminiscent of Looney Tunes than anything in any other horror film that I've seen. Freddy then goes into Maggie's mind, so he goes where she goes. Then back at the youth centre, no one remembers the children except for Maggie, Tracy and Doc, who's a person who works with dreams. She has a dream where it's revealed that she is Freddy's daughter, and she sees a flashback of her mother being killed. Tracy is attacked, but she burns herself on a stone to wake herself up. Then Doc is also attacked and he manages to pull out some of Freddy's jumper when he wakes up. Then they decide they need to pull Freddy out the dream like they did in the first film. Maggie is told she has to put 3D glasses on because this next part of the film is in 3D. That scene was just so cheesy, it was just unreal. Then there is a long dream sequence showing that Freddy got his dream powers because of these weird flying sperm looking things. She sees Freddy, grabs him and pulls him into the real world. She then finds him inside a locked cell. Freddy has turned back to human Freddy and he says that he didn't want to kill people, but it just happened, and when they took his daughter away he killed the children of Elm Street to get revenge, and now he wants to carry on getting revenge because after he died. Of course it's a lie and he turns back to normal. After a huge fight scene with loads of shit flying at the screen in 3D, we see Freddy pinned up against a wall when a pipe bomb is stabbed into his chest. He then blows up and he is dead. The ending is one of the worst in the series, but the rest of the film's alright. I'm not saying it's the best, I still think that the first one is the best and nothing will change that, but it's not a bad film. Now all I have left to review is New Nightmare, the 2010 remake, and Freddy vs Jason. Let's go.